Did I ever tell you what the definition of insanity is? Insanity is doing the exact same fucking thing over and over again, expecting shit to change. That is crazy. But the first time somebody told me that, I don't know, I thought they were bullshitting me, so boom, I shot him. The thing is, okay, he was right.
Christine Weston Chandler, formerly known as Christian Weston Chandler, born Christopher Weston Chandler, is an internet horror story that is more than 15 years old at this point. For those uninitiated, allow me to explain. Chris Chan, as she's known online as, is a high-functioning autistic comic book creator known most famously for being the true, honest, and original creator of Sonichu, the electric hedgehog Pokemon. The character is an amalgamation of Sonic the Hedgehog, the protagonist of the titular video games, and Pikachu, the de facto mascot of the Pokemon franchise. Chris created Sonichu in 2000 in his high school graphic design class, and many people, Chris included, consider Sonichu to be his greatest contribution to pop culture. However, much like the Sonichu comic themselves, this video does not concern Sonichu, but rather Chris. Since October 2007, Chris has been the center of trolling, ridicule, and harassment amongst many denizens of the internet for reasons including their unorthodox lifestyle, bigoted beliefs,
don't trust any homos over there,
unhinged antics,
I want everything about my house off the internet!
poor art style, affinity for women,
Boobies.
and more recently, their existence. As of March 2023, after Chris was arrested and charged with incest, she was released from jail, and many have taken it upon themselves to document Chris Chan's whereabouts and visits, or even seek out Chris Chan in person. Chris is a borderline boogeyman for the internet, and while some may hear their name in a news article or online and think, man, that's crazy, others become curious, look up their past, and fall into a rabbit hole, of which is nearly impossible to crawl back out of. Chris was a devout Christian until December 18th, 2017. Chris abandoned the Bible and Christianity altogether, believing that she was a goddess from the hyperdimension Neptunia video game and anime franchise under the manipulation of Joshua Wise, known widely as Idea Guy. Even before switching beliefs, however, Chris had managed to commit every single one of the 7 deadly sins, each one of which is fatal to spiritual progression and, according to the Bible, would damn one to eternal hellfire. It should come as no surprise that Chris Chan holds their creation, Sonichu, in extremely high regard. Since Sonichu's inception in March 2000, Chris has created multiple medallions bearing Sonichu's likeness, created a comic series revolving around him, dedicated multiple websites to Sonichu, and placed Sonichu in other works of Chris's, including his personal business cards, which he used until 2007. When Chris was initially discovered on the internet in 2007, he took Sonichu's and his newfound popularity to mean that his comic books had garnered a large audience of fans, not knowing that many of the people online discovering him were actually more interested in the goings-on of its creator. But Chris's pride doesn't end at Sonichu. Chris Chan's own self-centeredness and egotism has caused her to fall into a downward spiral. Partially caused by her parents, Barbara and Robert Chandler, and perpetuated by the internet, Chris's ego has become the stuff of internet mythology, with her expecting people to know who she is just by existing online. One example of Chris's ego is Chris's denouncement of Asperchu, a parody comic series created by Alec Benson Leary for a number of reasons. One being the digital art style as opposed to the traditional hand-drawn art, and another being the depiction of Chris in the comic being much closer to his real-life counterpart than his own comic, in which he is omnipotent and invincible. Another example of Chris's ego is his made-up holiday, Christian Love Day, which he describes as, quote, a second day for love in addition to Valentine's Day, because the day, to me at least, just feels like a holiday, in addition to it being my birthday, unquote. February 24th is indeed a holiday. In Mexico, it's celebrated as Dia de la Bandera, or their flag day, and Chris seems to believe that since it's a holiday in Mexico, it should be just as important of a holiday in America, solely because it is his birthday. Suffice it to say, Chris's misguided ideas of grandeur and self-indulgence have completely warped his mind of what the reality of his presence online is, a lolcow, whose sole purpose online is to be pointed and laughed at. Chris has always been notoriously bad with finances, spending money on things most adults wouldn't spend anywhere close to what Chris has, including toys and video games, and refusing to get a job, relying on his monthly tugboat, as he calls it. In many of Chris's videos dated before 2014, his walls are lined up and down with toys and video games. During Chris's 41 years of life, she's only had one job, as an employee at the fast food chain Wendy's. After her father Bob's death in 2011, Bob had left his family a sizable amount of money, quote, tens of thousands of dollars, unquote, to keep them afloat. This money was quickly spent as Chris and Barb hired defense attorney Rob Bell to defend them after Chris and Barb hit Michael Snyder, a local business owner and longtime scapegoat of Chris, with their vehicle. This was just the beginning of Chris's financial difficulties. On January 10th, 2014, the Chandler household experienced a fire after a door caused an extension cable's rubber coating to wear down, eventually catching flame, and continued to spread rapidly due to the hoarding situation of the house at the time. In an effort to aid the Chandlers in their time of need, fans of Chris came together to donate money, clothes, and food to them. A total of $500 were sent to Chris to support him and his mother, the donors hoping it would serve as a wake-up call for Chris to save money and think of the future. Chris would spend over $5,000 on Legos alone. Due to the Chandlers' dwindling funds, Chris took to begging online for donations and selling things her father had previously owned, thus ushering in the financial crisis. During the financial crisis, Chris would often go online and urge people to either buy one of Chris's many eBay listings or inform her onlookers of their bills and mortgage and ask them to send money. This would continue until the jail saga, and even then, Chris would urge people to send money to her inmate account. As of 2023, Chris has not made any posts on any social media, let alone ones begging for money, which implies either Chris has found a job or the woman Chris has been seen with regularly since September 4th, 2023 has been financially supporting her. Nevertheless, Chris was spotted in a game store in Roanoke, Virginia, purchasing a Guitar Hero 3 controller, showcasing that, for Chris, old habits die hard. One of the reasons why Chris captivated early internet users was his fascination for finding what he called a, quote, boyfriend-free girl, unquote, in what is commonly known as the longest saga of Christory, the Love Quest. For over 15 years, from 2003 to 2018, Chris would go out in public or online and find a woman to be his, quote, sweetheart from the ground up, unquote. Qualifications included were the following: 18 to whatever Chris's age was at the time. Single, average to slender weight/body type. White, lives in Charlottesville or Ruckersville, Virginia. Does not smoke or drink. Happy, positive personality. Average to high income. And drives a vehicle. Over time, it became abundantly clear that Chris's so-called search for true love was more of a search to find a woman to take his virginity and coddle him, giving him the childlike existence he desired. As trolls discovered Christian's gullible personality and love for women, a new form of trolling was created. Pose as a woman, gain Chris's trust, ask for personal information or embarrassing photos or videos, and eventually leak all the information gathered to 4chan or the Quickie forums. The list of fake internet sweethearts is as follows: Lori Lopez, Blanca Weiss, Sarah Jackson, Jessie Ruddy, Sarah Panda Halo Cassandra, Julie Milvana, Emily Shiflett, Kim Wilson, Ivy O'Neill, Vanessa Hudgens, Farron Hambeast, Casey Davoria, Regina Novakova, Jackie Romy, Catherine Sorrentino, Jessica Quinn. Fictional characters, including Chris's own OCs Magic-chan Sonichu and Sylvana Rosechu, Crizel Rosechu, and underage OC of Joshua Wise, Mewtwo from the Pokemon franchise, and Pikachu, an OC of Helena Fiorenza. Time and time again, Chris would be manipulated by these people and divulge information willingly, all culminating into emotionally charged videos or posts cursing the trolls.
Chris Chandler!
And the next day, seeming perfectly fine, as if nothing had happened.
You can die in rotten hell, Clyde. You too, Chris. Sorry, Casey, but that son of a bitch ain't got nothing now.
Chris would eventually have his virginity taken by a prostitute, but the love quest continued until 2018, when Joshua Wise convinced Chris that she was married to a number of her Sonichu creations. Though the love quest had ended, this did not end Chris's sexual deviancy. In mid-2021, through phone calls procured by Isabella Loretta Janke, Chris revealed that she had engaged in an incestuous relationship with her own mother, Barbara Chandler, which led to her subsequent arrest and the beginning of the jail saga. Chris was jailed from August 1st, 2021 to March 27th, 2023, and since her release, has been seen with a woman who is presumed to be her new sweetheart, Regardless of who this sweetheart may be, it seems that Chris's love quest, after 20 long, arduous years, is finally at an end. Over the course of Chris's life, she's entered a good many contests to win various prizes. When Chris was 11 years old, he entered the Sonic the Hedgehog Watch and Win sweepstakes and won a $1,000 shopping spree at KB Toys. Many point to this as a key contributor to Chris's future sense of entitlement. Since then, Chris has taken part in other contests, most of which he wouldn't win. In February 2005, Adult Swim held a contest where contestants would send their homemade commercials for the Volume 1 DVD set of Harvey Birdman Attorney at Law, which Chris entered and, regrettably, did not win. This led to him complaining on the Adult Swim forums. Probably the most infamous example of such a sore loss is the 2007 Chop Chop Master Onions Rap Showdown, where he performed Chop Chop Master Onions rap in an effort to win the big prize, a trip to PAX in Seattle and 2 PlayStation portable consoles, all to impress his sweetheart at the time, Megan Schroeder. Chris's video was poorly produced and choreographed, yet due to the low number of submissions, he was allowed into the top 10. Despite emailing people to vote for him and stuffing the ballot by creating multiple fake email accounts, Adam Stackhouse was the winner of the rap showdown, and an enraged Chris wrote an email to Sony Computer Entertainment, as well as shooting his Megatron pistol at a cutout of Adam Stackhouse's face. Even disregarding contests, Chris feels a large amount of resentment for people who are more well-off than him, such as those in happy relationships, hoping to experience that kind of closeness and commitment for himself one day. To the observers of Chris, you'll notice that he is indeed quite overweight. Chris has stated in the past that he has an aversion to working out and a soft spot for fast food establishments, most notably McDonald's, Burger King, and Wendy's. Though in a call with Casey, he said he does eat salads, he admits the salads also come from McDonald's. This lack of exercise and indulgence in fast food has led his appearance to become quite unhealthy looking. Weighing 203 pounds at 5 feet 10 inches earns him a 29 on most body mass index charts, teetering from overweight to obese. It can be observed that during Chris's transition into a transgender woman, she gained a significant amount of weight both during and after. By the end of the jail saga, Chris can be observed again as having lost weight, with their appearance looking much more gaunt than their initial appearance after the arrest. Any Christorian worth their salt knows that one reason why Chris fell into the crosshairs of 4chan's trolling in the first place is because of his frequent bursts of rage towards those harassing him. In an attempt to try and stop the trolls and intimidate them, Chris would often upload videos of himself yelling demands at his camera, sometimes at an individual troll, or other times at the trolls in general.
This message is for Alec, Sean, Evan, and even Mal. You know what? I dare you four, all four of you, to come to my house at and we'll see who stacks out better.
One of the most infamous trolls to gain much of Chris's ire was Clyde Cash, a troll who began with a fabricated backstory claiming that when Chris threatened to put the Sonichu comics on hold, his younger brother, Ryan Cash, killed himself, and thus Clyde has dedicated much of his time to making Chris's online life as difficult as possible, from harassing him in online discussions and coordinating troll plots, to making claims of rape to infuriate Chris, and even sending prostitutes to the Chandler household. Many of Chris's bouts of rage are in part due to Clyde Cash, with Clyde being Chris's #1 scapegoat for years to come, trumping Michael Snyder and Megan Schroeder. Even years after Clyde's retirement from trolling, Chris's bouts of rage at trolls never ceased. When you look at Chris, her antics and behavior, her upbringing, and her personality, you can tell this is the behavior of somebody who is unwilling to change who they are for the better. For 4 decades, Chris has shown a great disdain for changes in her life, citing stress as the #1 contributor. During the years of Sonichu's run, Chris would take long breaks from the comics to interact online or play video games. Many trolls even told Chris that if he does not continue creating comics, he will lose the little fans he has for Sonichu. Despite the threat of Sonichu falling into obscurity, Chris refused, even procrastinating on creating the comics when she was paid $1,000 to create the next issue. Chris wants to live the life of a child, playing with toys, video games, and posting on the internet, as this was the way she lived for decades until the death of her father, Bob. With such an upbringing by neglectful parents, Chris was bound to turn into a slothic person, stating that he would wake up as late as 11 a.m. Alec Benson Leary, in one of their phone calls, attributed his sporadic sleep schedule to laziness, as Chris is unwilling to get a job, work out, interact in social situations, or change who he is, leading to Chris being largely unchanged from 2003 to 2021, despite how much the world around him has changed. With over 40 years of Christry under our belts, and Chris continuing to stay under the radar, Christorians are working tirelessly to keep tabs on Chris's physical and mental state, with her being most recently seen in Roanoke, Virginia on October 3rd, 2023. She's been seen with a young-looking woman for over a month, with many speculating that this is Chris's girlfriend. Whether this means Chris has turned over a new leaf in her life is yet to be determined, but with how long Chris has refused to change, it is unlikely that Chris will ever change.
This is the boss, and I'm sick of waiting. Get your crap together and stop following those twerps.
Quickville, the city of Quickville.
So while I was in the middle of editing my video, today, on October 16th, 2023, Chris Chan made her unprompted, unannounced return to YouTube. It is a 10-minute video of Chris dancing and singing. What it means for the future of Chris, I have zero clue. That's about all I have to say about it. I made this video specifically about the 7 deadly sins that Chris has committed. I'm not going to be analyzing that video. If you want to watch someone analyze it, wait for someone else to create another video. Somebody probably already has created a video about it. But yeah, thank you for watching this video. I appreciate it a lot. So I spent like 2 full days working on this video, so if you could give it a like, that'd be very appreciated. Thanks.